What is up, YouTube? It's your boy Menace, back with Hometown Commander, back for another episode of 10 card upgrades, a show where I give you my 10, or in this card 11, card upgrade for a particular Precon. Today we're talking about the Mutant Menace Precon from Fallout with the Wise Mothman. I want to walk you through my 11 cards I would upgrade the deck with, what I think you should take out, and the cost to do it. Mothman cares about people milling cards and putting creatures on putting counters on our creatures while we do it, and I think these 11 cards will help with getting some more milling across the board and getting more counters on our creatures. First off, we have Alter the Brood. Whenever a permanent comes into our control, each opponent puts the top card of their library into the graveyard. Gonna get them all milling, and hopefully we can start getting some counters on our creature. We're adding an Assassin's Trophy for a little bit better removal. Deck does have some good removal, but we do still want to have good removal. What I like about Assassin's Trophy is it hits absolutely any permanent. They do get a basic land for it, but I think in some scenarios the basic land's well worth getting rid of an important thing that somebody has. Breach the Multiverse is a pretty big add, but it's a card that can be pretty darn good. It's player milling 10 and get a creature planeswalker back from each of them. Not only will this put counters on all of our things, hopefully, but get us creatures back as well. So I like that, and with the way the trigger works, we should get the creatures back before the Mothman counters trigger activates, so those creatures that come in will get counters as well. John the Lock overall is just a good card. It can be a counter spell, or it can destroy a creature with mana value less or equal to the number of cards in controller's graveyard. As we're milling, this becomes a better and better card, whether it's a counter spell or a piece of removal. Fractured Sanity and Maddening Cacophony are both well known in the mill world for doing one thing, milling our opponents for a lot of cards. Sanity can do 4 or 14 depending on how you do it, and Maddening Cacophony can do 8 or half of our opponent's library rounded up. Both of these can be very killer in a deck where we're trying to mill our opponents out. I think both have their place, but if you're not looking to go for too far in the mill, maybe avoid those two, as they're pricey cards for what they do. Mind Crank, whenever our opponent loses life, they mill that many cards. This can help us on everyone's turn. If our opponents are being attacked or losing life from abilities and they mill non-land cards, Mothman will spread counters for us, and that is something I really like. Each thing that makes them lose life should be a separate trigger, meaning Mothman could potentially spread a ton of counters around. Muldroth is here to help us cast things out of our own graveyard. Part of the rad counters means we might end up milling ourselves through some of these effects, and so it could be a way we could choose to spin the deck. I think Muldroth would be a great way if you want to talk about milling yourself as a part of this plan, because Mothman doesn't care who mills, just that anyone mills. I think Muldroth is a great way to start down that route of milling yourself. Ripples of Potential is a card that says proliferate, then choose any number of target permanents you control that had counters put on them on this way, and they phase out. Way to protect our entire board. The deck already has Mutational Advantage, which is something that's kind of a copy of Heroic Intervention in the deck, but still pretty good. I think this just adds more protection to our board in that sense. We're also adding Sidisi, Brood Tyrant, again, another way to help us kind of this self-mill plan and to get some tokens out of it. And then Sir Conrad the Grim. Whenever another creature dies or a creature is put in the graveyard from anywhere other than the battlefield, or a card leaves our graveyard, 1 damage to each opponent. And again, each player mills a card on a 2-mana ability, meaning that Mothman can hopefully spread some counters around, or Sir Conrad will just deal damage to our opponent in the process. I think Conrad's one of those cards that can be really helpful with Mothman down the board. These are the 11 the cards I should take out. I had a tough time taking the talismans out, but I think that we need to get a little bit more of a plan in place to get ourselves milling our opponents and dealing with that. Of course, if any of these cards are cards you want to keep them in and remove something else, but these are just my suggestions. And as far as the cost goes, as of today, CCG player about $53 for this upgrade, Card King about $50. So you're looking at about a $50 upgrade to the deck that I think is going to pack a big punch on the table. Let me know, what do you think of my upgrades for the Mothman? What would you upgrade the Precon with? I would love to talk with you down in the comment section below, and I will catch you guys next time.